an average man in society that literally just wants to have a normal life.
Sure.
But then they end up leaving these marriages, these relationships with, their baby mothers. What is going on? So there's something that women also should be held accountable for. Sometimes you guys are pushing these gents away. So yeah, that's where these guys are. They are leaving because they are stupid themselves in making stupid decisions. They are also leaving because some women subject them to, extreme situations in the household.
You've just stepped into An Empty Street, a podcast where we casually engage in difficult conversations about relationships, wealth, and health. We are just three curious gentlemen who ask questions almost about everything, and our aim is to find answers from others and within ourselves. We sit down every week to explore unaltered conversations. So let's walk the talk together, and welcome to the Empty Street Podcast. In 3, 2, 1. We're rolling. Welcome to the Empty Street Podcast.
We back.
Day, another Tuesday, and another week.
Another week. Yeah, man. You're not coming alone.
Yeah. You're not coming alone.
Nah, that's you.
Yeah, we come bearing gifts. Guys.
Yeah.
And we
Gifts
thought,
that you might have seen.
what's better than one gift? Two.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as we always do, we'll let you guys introduce yourselves, and then we'll hit the ground running.
Unpack themselves.
Yeah, they unwrap themselves.
Unwrap ourselves.
Yeah.
Alright, so the name is AshBidi on TikTok. Just a basic, random, regular, average guy that enjoys having conversations. So I'm glad to be here sitting with you guys.
Yeah.
Away. Welcome back for another installment.
Yeah. I'm hoping with it, they've watched the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. But if you haven't watched the
Please
first
do.
one,
Please
just
do.
go
Please
down
do.
the list and watch. I'm not sure what episode is it, but yeah.
It was 31.
Yeah.
Could
And
be
then
wrong.
we have
Oh yeah. Igama lami uLinda bafethu. Benginama chance earlier on. It's good to have you guys once more. It's good to actually be here. He sounded like a host for 1 minute there. It's good to have you guys. It's my home.
Yeah, you did sound
It's
like
my
a host.
house, And I see also on the t-shirt there, illumination. What a powerful paradox to ash.
In black.
So the illumination just turns
In
anything
black.
that's
In
substance to ash. Yeah.
Yeah, dope one, gents. Thanks for pulling through. Means a lot.
Before we jump into it, I think just as extra information, I'd like to know what is your experience being on the first episode, the first episode we shot with you, and then we'll also go into your experience and what you came in thinking you'd
Your
expect
expectations
from
and
what
what
it turned out to be.
Yeah.
Please go first.
All right. I had no expectations. I allowed whatever thought to come and pass as it should. And never really hang on to any idea, because then I would come having an opposition to, have like this guy is not with me, So I kept it open, and whatever it is, it's a flower. It's wonderful patterns that don't really have a linear direction to them, but in that there's a pattern within them. So that's my experience of the last podcast that we guys had. Yeah, it's still very much evolving because it's a thought thing, it's energy, it's moving. So it's becoming better and better and better and better, because I constantly elevate my energy from root chakra to crown. Sure.
Yeah, for me, my experience, I walked in thinking it's going to be like more along like an interview or something. I was very happy to be disappointed and found that it was more of a conversation.
Sure. Sure.
So that's what I really respected. It's not like I was put on the spot and being asked, It's like, let's share, let's, break bread as they did with Christ. Break bread and drink wine as we sort of,
Our oros.
our oros. So, so with the engagement that I saw, it's still a little bit low for my liking, honestly.
Yeah.
But I
I
think
saw that you were not impressed.
Yeah, but it's the thing is I've started there myself at some point, So I used to have like a low engagement, and then it came very high.
the numbers
It's
and-
still something. It doesn't invalidate the message. It does not invalidate
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
quality of the
Yeah.
conversation.
Because
It's
the
not
quality
our
is
fault.
definitely high.
It's people's fault for not
Yeah.
being woke enough to come enjoy
Yeah.
this.
The
I mean,
bloody
this is nice.
algorithms.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and the bloody
Yeah, we're
algorithm.
fighting algorithms
Yeah.
also, eh?
So it was a very nice, wonderful experience, and this is why I'm here again for the. I mean, I wouldn't be here if I didn't enjoy
Sure,
the first time.
sure.
So yeah, no, shout out to you, gents, for
Yeah,
that.
because if I can be honest, we were supposed to have you weeks back.
Oh yeah.
And
Postponing.
we kept on postponing. So I thought, this guy is not coming back.
Yeah.
He just wasn't about the experience.
Nah,
he
nigga.
just was like, these guys are not the ones. So
Yeah,
I'm
nah,
not gonna
nigga.
spend my time there.
You
But
know,
yeah, I'm happy to see you here. Though.
no, it's a pleasure, man.
Yeah,
It's a pleasure,
I'm
man.
happy. I'm happy.
Yeah.
So I think we can just continue the conversation where we left off
Yeah.
the last time. By the way, we left off the conversation where we were the main conversation was talking about what were we talking about?
Who raised these men?
Yeah, we were talking about who raised these men. There's that question that always comes with who raised these men.
Yes.
So we tackled that, and we tackled how we were raised as men, and the patterns we adapted after being raised from whoever raised us, which I think the conclusion was we were raised by women
Yeah.
and social media. So we tackled that, and then we had a lingering question with
Where are the absent fathers?
Yeah, if you were
Where are
raised
the
by
absent
women, where are
fathers?
the fathers?
Because we
Yeah.
were raised by women and single mothers. So where were the fathers? And where are the fathers? Because it's still a continuing thing even now. We have women who are raising children.
Why are they absent?
Yeah, on their own. So we just want to tackle the matter of fathers. Where the absent fathers? They are absent, yes, but where the fuck are they?
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
there's no definite answer to it, but based off just our own experiences, they might be personal or just at large.
Yeah.
I think we can just break it from that point of view.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think it's a sparking conversation to thought because I'm inspired right now to share a bit of a personal story
Personal
about
story,
that. Yeah, I grew up without a father as an individual. My pops died in 1999. He was shot by my neighbor, who was male, of course.
Yeah.
Like you can already get the image. I wouldn't say a woman would shoot my father. I'd be embarrassed. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, and that was after he raped my sister. So
Who raped
my
your sister? The neighbor or your father?
The neighbor.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he went on to shoot your father.
He went in to shoot my father because my father was taking actions against him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now what happened is my relationship with this masculinity, yes, it does attach to that somehow, the masculinity, the previous podcast we had, that it changed my relationship to what I think a man is. Because first moment a man is a hero and he was always there to provide and stuff. The next moment he's not there. Okay, what is really a man? Okay, a man is tough, a man is that, but a man that's tough kills what I love. What is really a man? Because the man who was a neighbor, I trusted so much, I never really thought anything like that would happen. It even changed the relationship I had with sex. Because if it started from sex and it went from taking what I dearly love, what can it do to me? The same sexual intercourse. So asking about absent fathers sometimes sounds negative. It sounds like fathers always go. It sounds like they go physically. Like it sounds like you're just limited to, he's there and his children is like in terms of space and stuff. But someone may be absent when they're present. I am now referring to my neighbor. How was he? You know, in my understanding right now, I love him to bits because what I have become because of that is greater than that.
yeah.
So I wouldn't give up this even if to change that, you know. So what was him? Was he present as a father And by father, we know that we genuinely mean love. We genuinely mean love. Love in a certain way of expression, of course. Not like a woman. That's still love, but in a certain expression. A father, love in a certain expression. That's still love, but a different expression of the same love. So I learned myself how to be a man by conquering my own mind. Because all the ghosts that were chasing me were only concepts. If I was stuck in that, you would feel resistance as I talk about something that seems hurtful. You would feel it in me talking to you that Ntanga is still shaken by it. I'm not, because I know I'm above it.
Hey, Mvana, you're supposed to take it light.
No, I wanted to start it with a strong foundation.
Then we move on. When you just took it there.
Yeah, man. I've been raised by a woman, strong woman, tough woman. I love him to bits. I love her to bits. Love him to bits. Because in her, yes, I do agree with the guy. There is a man in a woman. But I was seeing me in a way. Because only a man, if you're wearing orange tinted glasses, you'd only see orange around you. They're orange tinted. If I'm a man, I would only see men. If I identify with men, I would only see men, even in women. That's why you resist a woman, because like you seeing yourself. But that's after you realize the nature of your mind. So for myself, I was born again, man. I don't say that in how it sounds. Like I know people hear that a lot. Born again, yeah, blah, 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 blah. But really born again, my guy. Because I had to really ask myself, who
outside of the religious context?
Yeah, who the fuck am I? Am I this history? Am I this guy who's going to die one day as well by the neighbor? Am I to fear my brother because somehow my neighbor was like that? I could not communicate to guys like I do right now, while I was still identified with the personality. My personality is havoc. If I would really go with that personality, I would be stressed the whole day, bro. Because there are many things that I can say that happened along the years, but I really put it in summary to put a ground for myself so I can be more practical in this in terms of how it affected how I engaged with my teachers, male teachers, female teachers, because everywhere in society we meet these male figures. We never really run out of fathers. Fathers are never really absent when you have transcended your mind, but absent when you are a personality like I am. Saying Linda doesn't have a father, died 1999, shot by a man. Now Linda is gay. Can you say that? Yeah, Linda is gay. Now I have decided to be like that. No, I wouldn't, because I have transcended that. And no disrespect to gay people and lesbians. I don't mean no disrespect, but it has crossed my mind. What the fuck am I? And I thought about gay people. What happens to them? Are they trying to run away from something like I do? While I investigated my own mind, because I could feel the femininity in me. I felt my mother more in me because I have sisters. I have 5 sisters who are surrounding me. Of course, I'd feel more feminine. I feel it now. But then the aggression would come fighting that. So it was a fight against myself. So that's what suffering is to me, or was to me, or came as to me.
So tell me, okay, first of all, what I'm getting from you, from what you're saying right now, is that the absence of your father, the involuntarily absence of your father, made you the person that you are, and you don't have a problem with that.
No.
Right?
Yes.
But tell me, when your father was still alive, what impact did he have in your life?
You're a hero, bruh. Look at the guy enter, you see a large guy who's still small, of course. You see a large man you call your father. That must be my father. He must be Superman. I'm sure he flies when he steps outside.
Yeah.
You know, as a child, we wonder at small things. Like, we take small things and we enlarge them. You know, that's what imagination does. So he was a hero, bruh. And so that hurt. It really did affect me deeply as a person. It really did.
Okay, do you think that being grateful as you are with what turned out to be, which is his absence, he was not there, and we know he was murdered. do you think that it would have turned you into a better person than you are right now if ever he was still alive, knowing that you were worshipping the way you are
To think
worshipping
that is to
him?
deny that it happened. Immediately it happened. That thought shouldn't arise. That if it didn't,
Possibilities,
because
though.
that if it didn't is a sign of a resistance within me of it. But
No, a possibility,
it did
because
occur.
that's what our brains do.
Nah, for sure.
We create scenarios.
For sure.
If this is absent or if this is present.
For sure.
It-
For
it-
sure.
I think it's only natural.
For sure.
So what I'm asking is just a
sure.
possibility
For sure.
that I might have been.
For sure. Before I realized who I truly am, yes, that's what I thought. If my father was here, I would know really what truly a man is. Fine. I would cry, bro. Cry myself to sleep. I even cry now, bro. Those residues are still there. I'm not for once going to say it is complete, as in completeness, as we understand what completeness is. Final. It's not changing. No, it's dynamic.
Yeah.
It's a movement, and so I just enjoy the presence of who self is, and I find my father there. I find the essence of father, but I have experienced what we are going to unpack. I'm sure there's going to be really practical stuff that we're going to talk about in terms of how then you define yourself to be a man in those terms of situations. You do it mostly unconsciously, because I did it unconsciously. You never know you are asleep until you are awake. When you are asleep, you just sleep. But until you are awakened, like I was asleep. But the one who's awake can't talk about, okay, let's not get there, but that's what I mean. That when you are asleep, you don't know, but when you wake up, you recognize that you were asleep, and you now know how you were asleep. How were the dreams? You can talk about your dreams now, and that's where I'm at. I'm awake, I can talk about how my dreams were. And so that's the suffering and stuff of this person is really public to me, because it's something I can write about and inspire other children and who are growing up aspiring to be something better. I just want to say you're just aspiring to find out who you truly are. That's what you're searching for. And you're using an excuse of getting a car for that. That's why when you get that car, it doesn't last that long. That satisfaction doesn't last that long. You want new wheels, you want new whatever to add on it, and then you want more people to come in. You don't want this person to come in. You want a different person to come in. So it's not really about the things we're searching for, but the things we're searching for are actually the tools we use to celebrate who we are.
There's a mouthful.
From my side, I think the question of where are these absent fathers? I mean, first of all, they're absent because they're absent, so there's no way.
The question is flawed.
Yeah, the question is flawed. But in a practical sense, why have we neglected our children? We know that the incarceration rate in males is extremely high.
Very high.
So that's where we're going to find most of our fathers.
Yeah.
If they are not in prison, incarcerated somewhere, they are in the grave.
Yeah.
Obviously because of the violence of men. Statistics say men are murdered at a rate 4 times higher than their own women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So meaning that in 10,000 murders, you are going to find that there's 2,000 of those murders are actually females, whereas the rest is male.
It's male, yeah.
And it goes back now to who's killing these men. Well, it is men.
It is male.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
we are
More lethal.
yes. So we are first of all killing ourselves. Second of all, we are doing things that end up in prison because we killed other men, then we get arrested for it.
Yeah.
So it speaks a lot about how we aren't responsible with the power that we have, and this leads to us now being absent in our household.
Yeah.
I think men would be in the households raising these kids instead of society and social media raising these kids. If they had their priorities in order, prioritizing your family, you wouldn't be in prison, you wouldn't be out there in the streets doing all of these things, you know. So, but there's also a demographic of men that voluntarily neglects their family.
That's why I wanted to go.
Yes, there's that demographic as well, you know. But I think a big part of it might be because you know, we are in prison, we are dying and stuff like that. But also still a large part of it again is we are voluntarily, you know, breaking our family structure, and it goes now to control of our sexual desires.
Yeah.
Because in most cases, you'll find that a man that leaves a woman with a child has a child somewhere with another woman.
Yeah.
So we are leaving one child to
For
raise another child. You know, there's going to be a shortage of fathers at some point.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
because not everyone is willing to be a step, father.
Yeah.
You know, and now the issue is going to be, why are we voluntarily leaving these families that we create? Lack of sexual desire control, and the pressure that men generally feel from society. We currently live in a society where the main things that used to define what a man is, which is providing and protecting, have now been replicated in the female, right? So meaning women can provide and protect for themselves. Now it has made females grow a little bit weary and intolerant of men in households.
Yeah.
You know, let's be honest. I'm not saying that it's wrong for females to have
really
jobs
men,
and
yeah.
stuff. You know, I'm not saying it's wrong for them to be empowered.
Sure.
But there's also an element of it, this power that gets to their head. You know, in a household, you're reminding a man every day that when you're broke, you're not doing anything for me. Gets to a point whereby a man is like, you know what, I don't feel valued in this household. I'm gonna pack up and go.
Yes.
You know, so they pack up and go sometimes. Sometimes they pack up and go by force. They literally just leave the household because they feel so stressed. They go out there to have fun, and then they end up impregnating another woman. Then family structure is broken. So accountability for me really comes from both sides, you know. Okay, so there's certain things that women might be doing in the households, you know, that actually push men away. Because there are men, if the government was to say 50% chance of getting custody of a child, you'll see more men step up to actually raising their children.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, sure.
So right now the men are absent also because the government is forcing women to be the child nurturers, as though men, there's something inherently
Wrong with
wrong with them that stops them from being parents, you know.
Yeah, but sorry to interject. Maybe that comes from like also the journey that has been led by males.
Yes.
Which just based off excuse me, the past experiences of men is that normally they don't stick around. So how can we give the responsibility to men to look after their kids? And we're not saying there's no men in this world that don't look after their kids. You know, there's cases where it's the men that stick around and the woman is like, you know what, I want to go continue this successful journey I'm on. You know, they just want to push a kid and they have no time to raise this kid, and then it falls on the shoulders of the father.
The father,
you know?
yes.
So there's that situation as well. But as you were saying, within normally cases are that the court rules in the favor of the woman more than the guy, you know, which falls to our disadvantage sometimes, because it's not every guy that is not gonna show up for their kid, you know. But the stats, unfortunately, are not great. You know, I'm a cheater. I have higher in households. I have border, as we've already realized. Our life expectancy as well, speaking on death, compared to women, we bury way more gents than we do women in a year alone. You know, now you can compare that within a larger scale as well, and the stats will stay the same. You know, you can rationalize it and put it in ratio form. It's probably 1 to 5. You know, so. Those are also kind of the stuff that affect us as men, but unhappy relationships also play a part in it. You know, you as the product of that union might not know what they were going through because you were a kid at the time, right? So they don't want to tell you everything that transpired during their relationship. You know, I was unhappy, maybe the mother was unhappy, or even the mother was just, as you were saying, applying that pressure with you. I can do this, I can do that, so what else are you bringing to the table? At that time, the man is down bad. You know, he's literally just getting peanuts. So his ego is bruised. Has no confidence. Nothing well is going. There's nothing good going for that person. So in Taibona, I would die and just find somewhere else where he feels appreciated and is of value. You know, and then you become a product of being raised by that mother figure instead of and then your mom has to now play 2 roles. you know, that of being a man and that of being a woman.
Of a mother. As
Yeah, of a mother, I mean.
You know, I think the spectrum on, you know, the factors that are involved in bringing about situations of absent father or fatherism, you know, it's quite large, because I just thought while you were talking, an idea just popped in my head when you're speaking about families. The suicide rates in men as well.
Yeah.
You know, yes, young boys are killing themselves, but there's older men that are out there killing themselves. Men with families, with
Exactly,
responsibilities. They're like, you know what? I am tired of this. I'm just
out.
gonna, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why I want men to take accountability for the fact that they are deliberately leaving.
Yeah.
But I also want society to understand, Uguti, sometimes men also leave because
Pushing them.
there's something that is pushing them.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like we are born to neglect children.
No.
You know, in the absence of a mother, a man will be a mother. You know, in the absence of a mother, I'm sure you can even do some witchcraft to make milk pop out of your nipples. You know, we have that capacity to be mothers, in as much as women have the capacity to be
men,
fathers,
yeah.
right? Even though that's not the best recommendable situation,
Yeah,
because it's not
yeah.
going to be the same.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm just saying, we know how to fill in the gaps wherever
Yeah.
we lack, you know. So
The best, yeah.
while men should be held responsible for leaving, for making stupid decisions of sleeping around with women that they are not ready to actually wife up, and you know, because we are all driven by sex, we are all driven by money, you know, that's what creates the situations. But also for the men that have already figured themselves out to say, you know what, I want one woman, I want to have a family. There's men like that. A lot of us men, I believe, are actually like that, because most men in society are average. They are willing to settle for a nice average lifestyle. It is these men with money that walk around, you know, doing a lot of, because we know that, you know, more money, more problems, more bitches, more hoes, more money, right?
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
But there's men, an average man in society, that literally just wants to have a normal life.
Sure.
But then they end up leaving these marriages, you know, these relationships with, you know, their baby mothers. What is going on? So there's something that women also should be held accountable for. You know, sometimes you guys are pushing these gents away.
Definitely.
So yeah,
Most definitely.
that's where these guys are. You know, they're leaving because they are stupid themselves in making stupid decisions. They are also leaving because some women subject them to, you know, extreme situations in the household.
But
Yeah,
now,
very true.
Do you feel like, as the society or even individually, so are we even look at things in a way that you're saying, that, okay, well, we both of us who are perpetrators of this. Instead, are we even as a society in South Africa looking at things like all of us we're contributing to such thing?
Definitely
Or
not.
One part is like you feel like he's a victim.
Definitely not. It's a blame game.
It's always a blame game, and we all know who
Yeah,
always
it's
gets
a blame
blamed.
game.
Yeah, it's
Man
always
did
Eve.
this.
It's always Eve who gave me the apple.
Exactly. So I think
It's the serpent.
the
But
one
the
that
serpent
is
says nothing. Doesn't play.
so I think the one that is mostly on the receiving end of the blame is always going to be men, because we
Yeah.
still hold this idea that you guys are providers, you are the logic, you are the head of the house, so therefore everything that is wrong in society is because you gents allowed it, and to some degree.
Not understanding that women are the ones that should be held more accountable, because they are the filters. They should be the ones who are picking who they get pregnant for, based off the
Genes.
genes, the
Preference.
character, and like that. For instance, if ever you okay, typical example is that you as a guy, you approach the woman, and obviously you're not the only guy that approaches that woman,
Sure.
and what she has to do is filter out
What am I looking
who's more
for?
compatible with me, and not only looking at the emotional side of things to say
Yeah. Security.
most importantly
Security.
that.
Yeah, we
You
know.
understand?
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because after all, she has to take care of the child. Yeah, what?
Security.
But she should be filtering based off different factors. Okay, will this person be able to take care of the family? Is this person able or has the mental capacity to take care of the family, and is he ready? Because after all, sex means babies.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to neglect. And I think that's the impact of the pill, to say, if
you're
ever
not
we
really-
have sex, it's just for pleasure now, and forgetting the repercussions of just having sex. So the filter as well, women should be able to filter with it. Is this guy fit enough to be a father of a child? Like possibly if a child will be born out of whatever I'll have with him.
But also
But
equally, men should also be held accountable for not being able to filter.
Exactly.
We tend to have this notion that because a man can impregnate 10 women in 1 month, it means then that's your job.
Sure.
Yeah.
The power that you have to be capable of doing that comes with the responsibility of you being careful to whom
A
you do this.
responsibility.
A responsibility.
A responsibility.
So while women have the power to be selected, to
Selective.
select men,
Yeah.
they don't have the responsibility of selecting the correct ones.
Yeah.
Thus we end up with
that's
stupid
where
baby daddies.
we have to hold men accountable with it. When are you just on a sex spree, or
Yeah.
you are aware of
And
what's
you
going to
need
happen
to be
and
real
taking
with
care
yourself.
of.
Hence, I was talking earlier about single mothers, that gents mostly want to bang because it's an open door. It's a psychological thing. It's obvious, you know. And I'm not saying everyone thinks that consciously, but I'm saying somewhere out there is that intent, or there is that realization. Oh, they have a baby. Oh, I can bang and leave. Someone has left already, so now I can leave. If we're playing a game of banging, then yeah, it's a game. Know that you are in that game and play it consciously. I'm not here to bash anybody who's doing anything. I'm not saying that's wrong. I've lived that, and I know what it has made me, or what I have made of it. And so I know that, yes, really, water can turn to wine. I know from experience by taking those situations. I've been a player, man. Hit there and there and there and there. But now I know what made me, or how I thought, or where was I. But now that I know it from a different point of view, which isn't really a point of view, I get to understand it. So I get to also understand that I didn't know, and I couldn't see outside what I saw there. So even if I were to go back, I'd do the same thing and I'd enjoy it the way I did.
Yes.
So it's just to say, I'm a player. Sorry, Ken, I'm a player. You, like, it's not out of ego. It's not out of pride, as in, yeah, I'm the man, I'm a player. It's out of, I recognize the suffering in that too. So I'm in between that. I do enjoy that, but I do recognize the suffering in that too. But here I am. If you want to take me in, just know who I am.
Yeah.
But gents wouldn't do that because it wouldn't get you laid. That's the thought.
So there's a problem I have. There's a problem I have with gents.
Sure.
I'm gonna hold gents like very accountable right now. There's a problem I have with gents. Maybe you can say it's the nature of things, because most relationships end because the guy cheated.
Infidelity.
Like that's the most
Infidelity. Yeah.
like complain thing like most girls complain about guys cheating.
Yeah.
Maybe we should understand something, that it's in the nature of guys to be able to be here and here and here and here.
A boy remains a boy.
Right? And then here's the thing. The birth pill has been introduced, and it takes out the
risk.
Yeah, the risk to
Impregnate.
to reproduce with everyone you're sleeping with, right? So meaning it introduces promiscuity for both boys and girls.
Yeah.
But the problem I have is that guys understand their nature. We understand that we are the type of people who have been built to be here and here and here and here and here, or to have desire for this and this and this and this and that.
Yeah.
So we lose a sense of responsibility in our process of doing that. That's what I can say. Like, we are not accountable when it comes to impregnating the women that we encounter in our lives, or we have things with.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest problem. And I'm a big person when it comes to, like, I'm a big advocate when it comes to having responsibility of your seed. Like, I believe as a guy, you should be spreading your seed in a way that's very effective. I mean, most of the guys that are not in their children's lives are the guys who, even from the start, were not sure whether they want to commit to that person or not. Putting aside that maybe the girl will use the child to spite you or to manipulate you, putting that aside. But we as guys as well have that flow with it. Like senza kuphela.
Sure.
Like senza kuphela.
Another thing you mentioned earlier on in the conversation is that maybe being not being ready is another reason we have absent fathers. You know.
Yeah.
So just to expand on that also. Flip, I want to sneeze, but it doesn't want to come. Just to expand a little on that as well. Like, I feel like we know there's cases of teenage pregnancies, you know, and that couple is in high school, you know, and obviously you're still a kid, so you obviously that's the last thing in your mind, but you're doing the act, so I don't know what you were actually thinking, you know. But here, okay, a few months down the line, now you hear that, okay, your girlfriend is pregnant, or whoever it is you were sharing the sheets with is now pregnant, right? It comes as a shock, and now you're scared out of your pants. Yo, what the hell am I gonna do? My parents are probably gonna kill me. You're looking at the situation at home. Financially, you can't support this kid, you know, but there's this life, you know. It's there. You know, and the decision is to keep the baby, because obviously in this day and age there's things like abortion and stuff. The decision is to keep the baby. So now you're stuck with either sticking around, but knowing that you're either gonna have to skip school and now go either find work. You know, there's those cases where people go look for a job just to look after the kid. You know, or let's get and just start looking after the kid.
Yeah.
You know, and then in that, now you are scared that you can't actually look after this kid. And then it's either the mother abandons the kid. There's cases where people find kids in dustbins being abandoned, you know, which is a sad reality. And then the father that's supposed to be there as the provider for the kid and all of that is nowhere to be seen now, because he feels like those are just too big of shoes for him to fill. So now you're stuck with a young teenage mother having to raise this kid, and who she has to look up to is the people at home. We spoke on this, I think on part 1. Sometimes we rely on the grandparents to help in raising these kids, you know, so because we are not as knowledgeable as we think we are. You know, we just take it as we go and learn as we go and take information from other people's experiences with, okay, this is how this person is raising their kid, this is how you're raising your kid, let me try and apply 1-2 from here, and then come with my own conclusions, you know. So there's also that with now you're passing on the responsibility you're supposed to have to your grandparents or your parents, since you are the mother or father in that case. But the point I was trying to make is those cases of early or teenage pregnancy cases also result in having absent fathers, because it's too much of a responsibility for a kid to think of raising a whole human being, because that is you in a miniature form, you know, whether it be a girl or a boy. That is you, that is your work, you know, brought to life. So it's there's beauty in the process of creating a kid, but I think the responsibilities that it comes with is
mad.
Yeah,
It's mad responsibility.
It's big. And I think with most guys, we don't really realize the responsibility that we have to play. For instance, I was having a conversation with Ali. I don't know if you were there, but it was just around how guys are not so much educated in what women go through just from pregnancy.
Yeah.
And also how we should understand what they go through.
Yeah, I think we have
to play their own part into like nurturing the kid and trying to raise the kid, and what's required from us as well. Because there are times when a guy would be there in the relationship present, but not showing up to actually raise the child.
Okay.
Like be absent when it comes to raising the child. So
Responsibilities.
yeah, so it gets to show we don't really understand the impact that having a child has. Because for instance, no matter the logistics of like between you and the mother of the child, like one thing you should understand is the contribution that the mother has towards the growth of the child and their development, and as the father, your contribution towards the development and growth of the child. For instance, this other day I made an example about rough and tumble play.
Yeah.
Like just taking your own kid, throwing them in the air, like playing wrestling now, and getting to push them to their limits. Like we don't realize the impact of that to the child's development. So I think that's one of the things that we are not even aware of.
Yeah.
Like
You're so right.
how our presence actually plays a role.
huge role.
Like
A huge role.
conscious presence.
Yeah.
Because presence to some people is like Ali has been saying, there's a difference between maintaining a child and raising one. Raising one is consciously
actively
being
present,
there
yeah.
and being aware and intentional of whatever you are doing
Sure.
I think
to
that is so.
contribute to the development of the child.
If you would take both point of views, not actually just look at them from a distance, but take them of the father that is absent like you have painted it, and the mother who is seeing that, because I'm seeing the perception right now is coming from a motherly, who the father who's that and that and that, who's not present and playing wrestling. That's the mother. The mother would say that.
Yeah.
You know, mother would
No.
say.
No.
I'm just saying.
I just want to
That's the
correct
point
you.
of view.
The point of view is not coming from that. The point of view is coming straightly from the father.
Who's saying?
Because here's the thing. When I take my kid and throw it in the air, the mother will say, don't do that. You're going to hurt the kid. So mothers are there to protect. So this perspective is not coming from a motherly perspective.
I thought maybe the father is already upset. Maybe the way you were putting
No, so
it.
No.
So
It's not absent.
what
Be
he's
there.
saying. So I think what he's trying to say is, if men had a better education
Yeah.
on how much contribution their presence actually plays in the development of a child, it wouldn't be as easy for them to just neglect leaving their children.
Yeah.
If we understood that a single mother household creates children to grow dependence, because that's what mothers do. A mother's love is, I'll do everything for you, I'll nurture for you.
Yeah.
Whereas a father's love is more on, you know what, do this thing for yourself.
Yeah.
Earlier on, when you guys were talking about masculinity and femininity, I had this thought, Yoguti, femininity is selflessness, and then masculinity is selfishness.
Yeah.
Masculinity will
Yeah.
teach a child to actually do for themselves,
Yeah, that's
to
why
fight
even,
for
even
themselves.
when you ride a bike and fall, you're like, get up and ride
Yeah,
it.
it's-
Get up and ride instead of running to you. Oh, are your knees fine?
And, you run, and that's,
I
that's the
love
crazy
this
thing.
shit.
They don't run to you when they cry. They run
They
to
run
the
to
mother.
mommy, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if gents understood that, because right now we are told that we are weak men these days, and it's because we are raised without our fathers.
Sure.
Because it not only does it play like a practical role in terms of teaching a child how to be persistent, in teaching a child how to be tolerant, in teaching a child how to be strong, but psychologically it does have some developmental benefits. It's survival tactics, you know.
Yeah,
So if men really understood the importance of them being there in that regard, they wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
So it's because we don't know, there isn't enough education on the things that women go through, like you said earlier on. Women go through a lot during pregnancy.
The thing is, when men think responsibility, we think burden. How responsibility, the idea of responsibility itself has been painted to look like a guy who's carrying heavy rocks, who has to carry all this burden, and even this woman has to carry all this, what she has to give and whatever. No.
Yeah.
That's not what it means to me, and I'm saying no just as my experience. In my experience, what comes in a relationship, what comes mainly to me, because I can only see you as women if I am man, okay? If I'm stabilized in man and say, yeah, I'm a man, I can only see women. And a woman can see men, right? So I bring you into my life as my wife, so that you are this eye that sees this manly expression in me and takes it and nurtures it and makes it like a baby. Exactly like how a womb does, naturally expands a baby and makes it into a complete being. It's how the psyche of feminine energy does.
Yeah.
It takes something so small, it's like space, and then it expands it, it multiplies it, it makes it more. So if I'm there offering something, a seed, and it's on infertile soil, and I don't mean womb-wise. Many women for sure can get pregnant and get children. That's there. But psychologically wise, I'm saying psychology as if I know what that is. But yeah, I know I mean mental, in how they perceive and how they are able to take one idea and make it into something so magnificent, like how our parents used to take such a simple meal and make it into something so extraordinary. And we knew that it wasn't really the food, but it was their energy and how they prepared the food. They wasn't really forced and feeling, this food is bad, making it, but they were making it. Yeah, let's eat, so they always go back to love. And what you eat from there, it's like McDonald's, but it's McDonald's because it's tainted in love. So, oh my goodness.
Does that answer the question?
The question is, why are men absent?
Why are men absent?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll answer it like there are many perspectives. For me, back in the days, what I've studied, what I've read so far, not all books, but most books, concerning history and wars, that men were constantly out. It demanded that. The nature of that time, those times, demanded that men should go because we're the strongest, and women stayed behind. It's a pattern. I'm talking, think of habit as I'm talking. Think of habit and how it is.
And you come to now.
Sure.
Right now, we no longer have physical wars.
Coming to now.
We don't have men going out to.
For sure, I'm coming to now.
There.
I mean, that's why I'm saying habit. Think of habit because it's a repetition. It covers all times.
Yeah.
And then there was a change that came. The change meant men weren't going out more. But don't you think that the impulse to go out was still there? I think so. Right. I don't say that the one that doesn't think so, they're right too. I think they had the impulse to just go, Like right now, I smoke. Sometimes I just have an impulse to go because it's habit, I don't even have a reason why I smoke. I'm like, okay, it's nice, I'm just being a boy, So that impulse only stays when put under the light of the self, then it can begin to transform and evolve. Because now it's a habit, not unconscious. It's not a machine that's running itself, but now there's something above it that lights it up. But while it's a machine, it runs on its own. And so we might be talking to machines and say, machine, do that. We might be talking to them. And that would never be a possible thing to change a machine. But it's to somehow bring the machine closer. That's what you do with food. Food is different from you when afar. But you bring it closer, you dissect it, you make it into something different. And then it's now closer. It's not even felt as something different. So bring that guy who you think is different from your perspective closer. True with them instead of against them. And then as you do, you merge with them, and your experience will teach you how you say to them and what you say to them in order for them to merge with you as well in how you understand them now, because you have taken the time to bring them closer instead of seeing them as enemy afar. So toxic masculinity, is it far? No, it's in me, bro. Hence I can say, when I see a single woman, single mother, and I approach her, I can feel when it's about the access I have to sexual intercourse because I know already they're open.
We shouldn't make it all about sexual intercourse and the access that we have.
Yeah.
For instance, I think most guys who don't have access to like sex operate from seeing every situation as an opportunity.
That's why I opened the ground with my experience of sexual intercourse. We shouldn't be very
entertaining that. We shouldn't be entertaining guys seeing opportunities where the repercussions are quite dangerous, because if ever you see a single mother and you see an opportunity that you're gonna smash and leave because the previous guy has left, whereas that girl is trying to find someone who can act as a father figure in the life of the child that they've been left with, and then it means that you're not doing any justice, because you're gonna do that, impregnate them and leave them with a second child because the first guy has left. So I don't think that's something we should be encouraging. I feel like we as guys, we should have control over our sexual desires and just not see opportunities.
That's it.
Apart from encouraging it, I think he mentioned it because it's worthwhile to put to the table. I always say that you are a male before you are a man. In order for you to understand what makes you a man, understand what makes you a male first, because you being a male will dictate, your manliness, what makes you a man. So I think what he's speaking about is men have a psychology historically that makes them want to venture out and conquer.
Okay.
That's why men prefer to go to war instead of sitting in the same household doing the same thing every day. We preferred adventure, we preferred discovery and stuff like that.
Some subside.
And that psychology is so that trait is so ingrained in our DNA, even when the society does not rely on men to go out. Our psychology still tells us, no, you must go out. That's why we keep on stepping out. Exactly. So that's why we keep on stepping out on our partners and cheating and stuff like that.
Sorry to interject. In a war zone, let's say this week where we are, when you see a woman and you've been away for 6 months at home without getting laid, I'm not making getting laid somehow something top, but something that's taboo in our society right now, and we don't really want to tackle this issue. Someone thinks like I'm saying right now. Someone has this perspective that in that area, when they see a woman, they go nuts.
I think
you know how men are. They go nuts.
I think
why?
All men.
Aggression. I've been aggressive for the whole day, fighting this man, fighting. I see something soft. It's rest. It's natural for action to come back to stillness. It's natural. So in that sequence, I've been fighting, killing, missing this love. And when I see it, I identify this love only with the pleasure of sexual intercourse. That's where I'm coming at.
Yeah.
I identify with it. But if only that love was kept pure, then it would have not just stayed with the sexual intercourse, it would have gone to the personality, it would have gone to the heart, to how this expresses, to how this woman has a vision and all of that. Like, it's how it encompasses everything else and not just sexual intercourse.
So now that's I think that's the part where when you were explaining about machines. So when you say that men think of men as like a form of a machine that is designed with a specific purpose, but then at this point we are trying to make the machine evolve. You are speaking more towards, okay, society required men to act as machines. We were fighters, providers, and all of these things, but society now has changed. We no longer really need men to do these things, to go out and venture out. On top of that, as a human being, you have natural instincts. But you are also given intelligence to actually succumb and overcome your natural instincts. That's why you have intelligence. You are not just like an animal that decides to do these things. And granted, it is true what he's saying. That's how most men view life. Most men, all men actually have impulses. If we were at war, I haven't seen a woman for 6 months and I see a woman in front of me, all of us chance are going to react somehow. We are going to feel something on the inside. Nonetheless, rise above the situation, learn how to control yourself. Once you know how to do that, then you will not be an absent father, because you wouldn't have impregnated someone
else.
just for the just, you know. So I think for me, that's what would answer the question of where our fathers are, where our fathers, where our fathers are.
Yeah.
Where our
Basically, why
fathers
they
are.
absent?
It is important, and I think it plays an important role in a society when
Hey, you guys are hungry, huh?
Yeah.
We've been talking, dog. Hey, I think just
sorry,
on that note, sorry to also just jump in. I think we should also just try to speak towards closing.
sure.
Yeah, try to wrap up the conversation.
No, I'm
before
done.
we-
I think I've closed. I'm good. Yeah.
All right. That in our societies we do need these role models, and not as just individuals, but as relationships that speak more than these words. I am certain that from the first letter that I have articulated, there's nothing right I have said, there's nothing wrong I have said. It is what it is, and to see it that way, then you see it as a dynamic. So I'm a father of a son too, if you were to say that, but I am fathered too. So there's this interchange between what I understand a father to be and how it expresses to my son. It's like I watch how fathering happens with my son. It's not like I am a father, you know, I watch it happen, I watch it unfold. That spontaneity alive. Yeah, man, just I started off this with a ground of my experience. So whatever toxic masculinities may come in me as some ground, someone who is able to link things together. Hence I made references to my relationship to sexual intercourse, my relationship to women themselves, because my sister was a victim, my relationship to a neighbor or someone you call a stranger, someone you call next door or next to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's a psychological thing, because when I say next door, next to me, immediately you sit next to me, I see you are an enemy. And those are one of the things that really got me into fights growing up. Fought a lot, even before you said let's fight. I avoided you starting the fight because you might kill me. So I'd rather kill you first. You know, I'll punch you first or do something, run away because you're bigger and stronger. So stuff
Question.
like that. Yep.
Personal and very practical. You can tell me if you're not comfortable with answering the
Yeah, for
question.
sure I will.
Are you present in your son's life?
I am present as the son. I am present in my son's life, for sure.
What are the practical things that you're consciously doing to assure your presence?
I don't do anything. My father does it all. That sounds like a preacher, but it is practical.
What do you mean?
I don't identify with a single thought or a single action that stems from this being. I am being myself. And so I have access to love like no other. I have sons everywhere. I see my son in everyone. Presence is not a limitation to the body at all. Otherwise, I would still think my father is dead. My father is dead. My father never died. Cannot die. My true father cannot die. You know, but how he expresses in this time-space reality vanishes. Thoughts vanish. This conversation is going to the bin. Yes, for sure, it's going to be something that's a recording. But even when you watch it, it's a done deal. It finishes. So I see my son in many of his friends. Even he would be surprised how close I am to his friends and to him. It would seem, but because of him, these branches now spread.
Do you think that your son sees that
He
the
knows
same
it.
way?
He knows it. Not sees it. He knows it. And he might grow up to be conditioned differently, but he'll never forget it. I remember there was a father who always told me something. He was sitting in the streets mostly. Just out of the ordinary. It was a projection from my own being that I am on a right path. What I see a father to be, stick in that. Don't let views sway you. Not even once. Because I know how it is to live without a father. How would I be for 1 second be absent? After what I've told you about killing my father and stuff, and I am a son in that situation, don't you think that I would see the son the same way? I would see the son definitely the same way. But I'm not caught up in the character's story, which is I. If I was, I'd be resistant even when I see the son, because I'd still remember the son who lost the father and still feel the emotion that the son felt when they lost the father, and therefore not be effective in my work, in my thinking, in my talking and conversations with people while I talk and reference to something like that. Because now I feel the tension in the pool within me. Nothing is going on now. I'm free.
And going back to the main question,
Sure.
where are the absent fathers?
The absent.
So the conclusion we came with is that the absent fathers are in jails. They're
Dead.
dead.
Slaves to their sexual desires.
Slaves to their sexual
They're in the
desires.
streets.
So in the streets, essentially.
And they are not in good relations with the mothers of the children.
To whom?
No, I'm speaking on a very personal level.
Oh, you're okay. All right.
Yeah,
Nah, I won't interject in that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
like being an actual active conscious father to your own child. That's what I'm talking about, like the personal experience. So I think we've answered that.
Yeah, if,
And how do we solve that?
It's hard to change.
Take responsibility.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there are
Take
some that you can
responsibility
change, and there are some
of
that you can't.
the people you sleep with as a guy.
yes, filter, yeah.
Yeah.
Filter the woman that you sleep with, receive education on what exactly the presence of a father does to the development of a child, because that is lacking in
Even
society.
when you are with the mother.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I think for me, those are the two things. I can't think of anything apart from
Controlling
Same,
your
yeah,
sexual desires.
Same here.
No, that's the
Controlling your
third.
Because
controlling your
we
sexual
really can't
desires.
control death.
Yeah. Oh yeah, death we can't
You
control.
can't
That's,
control.
that's
And the
fine.
life expectancy.
Yeah.
Already we know that as guys, we don't live healthy lifestyles.
Yeah.
So
mean,
by
you
that
have.
alone, you know, exactly burning
So
livers
here's
with
another
orange
thing.
juice.
Here's another thing.
guy's
To
just
tap on what.
So you're just gonna close me like
Linda
that?
was just saying. Peace and fine.
This guy.
Oh, finish so that I can just finish it off.
Nah, wrap it up. I've been saying we should
You're
wrap.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've
To
been
tap
saying we
on
should
to
wrap.
what he's been trying to explain. We see the state of absent fathers in our country, and we are here. We have these type of conversations, and not every guy has these type of conversations. And I think us, Last Corner, I think we can be fathers to everyone out there. We
well.
can play our role. I guess this game is about his stepfather. Hey, yo, his stepfather.
Abati bambi panje.
fathers to everyone. I'm like, chief.
Mara, this content might come across someone's son
Oh yeah, in that regard.
that
yeah.
the father is not there.
Oh,
We are actually helping them out
Yeah.
to be something or to get a grasp of what they should be or understand whatever happened to them.
Yeah, or understand the reasons
resulting
behind
that they
them
don't have
being.
a father present in their
that
lives.
moment.
But we are here to share whatever we are sharing and to give them something. I mean it in that way, you could see. You can't just be a father to your own biological son, but
Sure.
we can be fathers.
kids
I'm not
out
a
there
father
too.
as yet, for all I know. But
Are you a father to someone's son?
I mean, as you're recording this, someone's son will see this, so you are a
Yeah.
father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're busy
You are.
fathering
yeah,
some
yeah,
through
So-
knowledge.
yeah.
So what are you saying to your son right now? You're saying that he must master his sexual desire control.
Exactly.
You are saying that he must
Filter.
filter. Don't just.
Have sex.
How old is your son?
It's a huge
Infinite,
range.
man. Infinite age.
Infinite.
Yeah, infinite age. Yeah.
And then the third. So control your sexual desires.
Yeah.
What was the second one?
We spoke on what you said.
And be educated.
Educated
on,
on yes. What your absence does to a child.
Yeah, and what your actual conscious presence benefits the child.
Okay, so that's part of what. And then the third one?
The third one. So number 1 is
Control your sexual desires so that
2.
educate yourself on your presence and absence of a
Filtering
father.
was the third one. The filtering.
The filtering was it. Yeah, so the filtering I think will fall part of the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because you control your sexual desires by
yeah.
filtering.
By filtering.
Yeah.
And the third one.
We did have a third one. Thing is, we
We
did.
did. I'm sure
some
you
move
guys
around
have been
this-
watching, so
move
you
around
definitely
this
know
circle.
the third one. I think we can wrap the conversation
Yeah,
now.
we can wrap the clip.
Yeah.
This guy must come back and wrap this.
This guy.
He has a lot of explaining to do.
This guy hasn't been part of the episode.
He has a lot of
He
explaining
was in
to
part
do.
of the episode.
Lit.
but,
He's very much
and
lit.
here's the thing, Uguti, mega mover, and
Hey,
he's not
nah,
part of the conversation, manje, because
nah,
we
next.
have these mics and he
Yeah.
has his,
Yeah.
and we can't sing his mic into
Nah,
our
what we
own
were
sound.
saying, yeah.
Nceba, so he's out.
Yeah,
He's just moving.
he's just the extra.
we just throw it.
You have a lot of
So you should
explaining.
accept that. Nceba, so we should wrap the conversation up. Otherwise, gents, it has been
another
a long
pleasure.
conversation.
Yeah.
Back and forth a bit, trying to understand each other,
Yeah.
trying to understand whatever idea we want to put out there. But I'm happy. I'm happy with how the conversation turned out.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'd love to say
I
some
hope
last-
we don't get lost
Like
in
to have some
translation.
last words.
as well,
Yeah.
Don't make them long.
I hope we don't get
Don't
lost
make
in
them long.
translation.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful conversation. As long as it's a perspective you understand that it will always have.
Yeah.
Opposition.
And a necessary conversation.
Yeah. But it's a revelatory experience. Things that were hidden are coming into view with so much clarity. And I think someone out there grasps something